Hi there, this is Java Jim with First Line Equipment, and today in front of us we have the Carimali Bubble 2-group espresso machine. This machine is available in 110 volt as well as 220 volt. And just in case you didn't know, 220 volts typically are more efficient when it comes to steam recovery and production, and basically for a more high performance environment. 110 volts are for those who typically don't have the funding to run a 220 volt line from the circuit breaker to the machine. So it can fill in the gap in those cases, because sometimes it could be very, very expensive to run a 220 volt line to wherever you need to, where the machine is located. And the 110 volt should be minimum 20 amp, and in some cases 30 amp. Always check the website, no matter what machine you buy, what the amperage requirements are. Now today we're going to go over the Bubble, some of the features. There is a display here, digital display, basically for programming the temperature. And then you have your touchpad right here, where you could program the amount of water by time, not by weight, by time, for the espresso. And then you have your quick ergonomic levers for the steam. And if you notice, there's 2 steam wands, which means that you can do twice the amount. There are some 2-group machines that only have 1 steam wand. If you notice right here, okay, and you do see some white film, this is a brand new machine, and right here there's a platform. So if you want taller cups, you can use taller cups to make your espresso for cappuccinos. However, espresso does taste better when the shot glass is elevated and of course hot, or the demi-tasse cup. Because the more the espresso drops, the more the oils break up. The more the oils break up, the less crema you have. The less crema you have, the less flavor profile you may have, okay? So just keep that in mind when looking. This machine is drainable. The drip tray does come off. The side panels are made of plastic. Back panel, which you don't see, is made of steel, and then the stainless steel here on the top. Now you may say, plastic I don't care for. Yeah, there are some pluses and minuses. Typically steel can rust unless it's stainless steel, but if it's painted steel, it can rust once it's scratched. And sometimes it will scratch where the screws are holding the body panels from taking on and off for repairs, and then basically start getting some rust, which can come to the outside. Doesn't look too good. Stainless steel panels are very good, but also more expensive. And on the plastic side panels, it offers a little bit of protection and also a little bit of insulation, because the metal is not absorbing the heat outwards. So it's a little more resilient for heat loss, which can also improve efficiency. Now the downside is the plastic can crack over the years. I have seen machines go over 10 years without the plastic cracking. So kind of there's pluses and minuses. Also from a burn perspective, if the boiler is very, very close, or piping, that portion of a steel or stainless steel body will get hot. And I have actually touched sometimes bodies that are made of stainless and steel, and literally had to take my hand off right away because it was piping hot. To access the machine, we're going to go inside. We have already removed the 4 screws, and there are basically 4 screws here. And then this lifts up, slides forward, and then basically you can get to the inside, which we will now go over. All right, the first place we're going to start with here is basically the copper boiler. If you look at the heat exchange pipes, because this is a heat exchange machine, they're kind of equidistant from the group head to the boiler. This is kind of important because sometimes one is short and the other one's longer, and it has a play into the amount of temperature stability it is between group heads. There's the 2 return pipes, so the water flows through the pipe, comes back out through the group head, back down, and then these are the heat exchangers where the water for the espresso is not coming from the boiler itself, but coming from the pipe and the pump. So that water stays different. Now the water in the boiler typically is monitored by this probe for the water level. And if you disconnect this, it'll keep filling the boiler more and more and more, and it'll come out of the safety valve, and this is the bleeder valve. So if you have an overfill situation, it's usually check this part right here. Usually get some type of water corrosion or contamination, and that just needs to be cleaned. Here's your PID sensor for the boiler. This is at the steam temperature. And typically half the boiler will be filled half with steam and half, the bottom half, of course, with water. As the machine is warming up, some water will sprinkle out of this bleeder valve. This is the vacuum breaker valve. If you don't have this part on a boiler, then what ends up happening is that you have a vacuum inside and you have to open up the steam valves to release that vacuum. Okay, safety valve here, this one is covered nice because in case the machine goes into an overheat and excess steam starts coming out, this will get redirected to the drip tray. So there is a vinyl hose there. You have clean out nuts here for the heat exchange pipes. And then you'll have clean out nuts on the group heads here as well. And you'll see the solenoid valves. So the solenoid valves, once you stop the espresso shot, the solenoid valve opens up to avoid excess pressure when you're taking the portafilter off. So when you have the portafilters on, you have a lot of pressure, basically 131 PSI, or it depends on the coffee. Sometimes it's lower, but this will relieve the pressure at the group head. Coming down on this side, you will see a hose. Now this is a PFTE hose. It is not copper and brass. There are pluses and minuses to these hoses. Number one, the plus is they're easier to replace. Number two, they resist lime scale or calcium and magnesium buildup. So in some cases, these hoses are very good. The downside is if the machine goes into an overheat, it can start making a bubble on this hose, and this one on this side for the hot water. The hot water one on this side comes from the bottom of the boiler. The steam pushes down the water at the bottom and then out through that hose, and that's also controlled by a solenoid valve. On this machine, there's a single and double dose of hot water that you can get through, and this valve basically opens and closes for the hot water. On the steam valve that we have on this side and this side, there's actually a little bleeder here as well. And basically it's the on and opening here. Sometimes there are knobs, but these are small levers to open and close the steam that comes out and also regulate it. Since this is a push button on hot water, you have the solenoid valve. You also have the on and off through the group head for the dosage. The touch pads are right here. There are cable ribbons put here, and then this one here in the middle is for the digital display. But you'll notice no solenoid valves here on the steam valves. Down in here, you'll see two other PFTE hoses. One is for the pump pressure and one is for the steam boiler pressure. So you could see what the pressures are. Way down in here, I'm not sure if you could see it, but there's your heating element and then your safety thermostat way back down in here that has a safety reset that will give you a hard click if it does trigger. If that does trigger, it means that you have an over temperature situation here at the PID sensor that needs to be cleaned. I've already done a video on that, so look out for that because you don't want to have an overheat situation. The last thing you want to do is have a boiler blow up, and that's why they basically have the safety thermostat. They have a safety valve, and this is why you want these safety precautions, but you don't want to allow a machine to continuously to overheat. On this side, you have your rotary vane pump. There are different size rotary vane pumps. This looks like the 100 to 200 liter size, actually probably the 200. The adjustment is way down in here. There's a little holding nut you loosen, and then you turn it counterclockwise to bring the pressure down, or turn it inwards clockwise on the screw to increase the pressure. Typically you want to get it around 9 bar, and again, you're going to be using the gauge that's on this side, the pump pressure gauge. Here you have your capacitor. In here, you would have to take the side panel off. This is basically your control board that's all right here. your switches for on and off are here with the wires. And then you'll notice that there's hoses coming from the solenoid, because when they open to relieve the pressure, all that excess water will go down into the drip tray. You can't see from here, but under the drip tray is a valve to drain the boiler, which is a nice feature, because if you're using this in a coffee truck in a cold environment and you need to drain the water, first you would drain the group head, okay, disconnect the water line, drain the group head. You can take out hot water through the valve. I don't recommend that, but use that drain valve to empty the boiler out. Now, if in a cold environment, these hoses here can also burst. So you may want to disconnect some of these and then let the water just spill out, especially for long term. If you're doing an event Friday night and then Saturday and then overnight it's sitting, I normally recommend that you put some type of heater in your truck, plugged in, electric heater, but you got to be careful that the truck doesn't burn up. So just take precautions. Worst case scenario, take the machine out, put it somewhere indoors, and then bring it out the next day. And that's pretty much it. Here's your steel panel, steel framing, body panels, and a very easy and simple machine also to work on. And these are Carimali group heads. They're not E61s, but the water is constantly flowing to heat them. Okay, when you make your espresso, water starts pumping and flowing, and this valve opens up for the water to the group head, so you can make your espresso. And you can do both simultaneously, make espresso and steam milk for your cappuccinos, lattes, cordados, and so forth. So, and that's pretty much it. Very well built machine, good for catering, good for coffee trucks, even food trucks, as well as restaurant use and even cafe use. But my preference is more for back of house. If you're having a coffee shop that you want to show an extravagant machine, this is a budgetary value machine that's a good workhorse, but something that looks nice, you would probably want to get something a little better. So there are some of the nice components that are found inside the Carimali bubble. We're going to get this body panel back on. Again, a little forward, okay, and then we're going to slide it to the back and make sure it's in, and then make sure you put the 4 screws back on and don't lose them. It's really important to have the screws on the top panel. If you have any questions or comments, please ask down below. Please make sure to not only follow our social media channels, which include but not limited to YouTube, Facebook, and Pinterest, and some of the others that we utilize here at First Line Equipment, but also share the knowledge with your friends and family, because you want to show them that you care that they select the right equipment, and more importantly, the right company, which is First Line Equipment. A lot of customers realize after they purchase somewhere else, they're looking for help, and then they call here at First Line. So it's important to purchase from First Line, because those are the customers we love to support. Okay, and you want to support those who support you. That's usually a learning that I have heard a few years ago. Once again, this is Java Jim with First Line Equipment. Thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful day. As I always say, coffee first, everything else second.